We're back with another edition of Featured Extras. And as you might have noticed, it's not just me today talking about the special features on a piece of physical media. I'm joined by other of Earth's mightiest critics, David Fowley of Keeping It Real and Don Shanahan of Film Obsessive and Every Movie Has a Lesson in the Cinephile Hissy Fit podcast. We are here today to talk briefly and celebrate, again, briefly, the release of F1, Joseph Kosinski's blockbuster racing film that came out in June. I've been a big champion of this movie as one of my favorite of the year. And it's weird because the film did not do that well domestically, but it was a big sensation overseas. So now that it's actually on physical media and streaming, folks can hopefully catch up with it. But I dare say, there you go. I dare say that if and when you do watch this movie, which comes highly recommended, you're going to be kicking yourself for not having seen this in IMAX because it's quite the feat. But as we do on this segment, F1 the movie has a number of special features on the 4K, which is now available, and we're going to talk about them. There you go, David. David, you belong in The Price is Right, I swear. But I've chosen a segment to look at, and so has David, and so has Don. So without further ado, we're each going to tackle one segment out of the bevy of special features and kind of explain why they're worth watching, what we got out of it, and why you might be interested as well. So first of all, F1 the movie, of course, is about Brad Pitt plays a race car driver who comes out of retirement to help out his friend Javier Bardem, who has sort of a failing, fledgling F1 team. He ends up mentoring kind of a hotshot young racer. And it's about friendship and bonding and racing cars real fast. But it's also about so much more, including some spectacular racing footage, innovative racing footage, which brings us into the segment I'm going to be talking about, APXGP innovations. Don, you can attest to this. When we saw this movie at a preview screening in IMAX, one of the first things I said coming out of it was, I don't know how they shot half of that footage.
Yeah, no clue.
Because you've got Brad Pitt in the racing seat along with Damson Idris when he was doing his kind of racing stunts. The camera would whip pan from them in the cockpit to another person in another cockpit, another car coming up on them, and it almost seemed like they had miniature drones flying all around the track. And I wondered, is this CG? Is this practical? How do they attain these amazing feats? And it turns out there was a little bit of computer enhanced kind of dummy replacement and things in some areas, particularly with car crashes, but mostly it was innovating with the use of cameras on high-speed tracks. They had these full swiveling cameras that were mounted to the cars. As I mentioned in this feature, there really is no place to put these kinds of rigs on cars, on these racing cars, so they had to get really creative and innovative. But they're going at 200 miles an hour and pivoting. So a lot of these crazy camera moves that you're seeing, they're done on the track as these cars are, in the race are alive. So that's what I really picked up on watching this segment, along with the fact that, the Formula One team has between 700 and 1,000 people kind of working, dedicated to making sure that this, small team of elite drivers can get across the finish line. That's not something that really comes across in this movie. You get the sense that it's a big team, but not that big a team. And what Kosinski put together was a team of technicians and innovators who are all working on the same goal of making this most realistic and immersive experience possible. And they had to come up with all sorts of new tricks to pull that off. And they mentioned everything from costume to sound design to props. They're all working together to make this happen. So, and I think I mentioned this during our live stream review of the film, it's easy to watch these big screen spectacles and kind of zone out and think, oh, this is all kind of CGI enhanced slop. But when you get to see, again, in stunning 4K, the behind the scenes features are just about as brilliant to look at as the movie itself. You come to appreciate all the hard work and actual human sweat that went into making this, unfortunately, relatively little seen movie here in the States. So, Don, I'd like to throw this over to you to talk about your feature.
Yeah, I picked Anatomy of the Crash. It's the longest feature on the disc. It runs for about 6 minutes and change. And I wish there was more. I'll be the guy that just says it out loud. Warner Brothers can do this a lot, where it's the same kind of like featurette thing, where it's the talking heads in the chairs, and it's backing, or it's backed by the montage footage, where you don't. I'd rather just just give me the footage of them on set and not, the mansplaining version of it. Like, well, let me tell you how it worked. And then, no, you're showing us how it worked. Just let the camera go, or let the audio go with it. But for this one, this was the big crash that Damson Idris's character, careens off into the woods, even, and gets lit on fire. And they showed how they shot that scene. And again, like you said, with the idea of how they can move around the racetrack for this big sequence, it was still they tried their best to do things practically. They did 2 launches of the car itself off its kind of little gantry ramp to get it to twist. One fell short of where they thought it was going to go, and then one went long and into the woods. They kept the one in the woods, but still use, obviously, there's 6 cameras all shooting at the same time to get every angle they can. So they use bits and pieces of all the footage, but then they had a rig on the end of a camera had a camera rig on the end of a crane that kind of had like the chassis of the car that an actor could sit in, and it would just spin in place. So Damson Idris could take 5 circles on that thing to make it look like he's in the air, because they can put that in a height that looks like he's going the same place that he would be with the woods and the sky in the background. And it looks, I mean, by the time you mesh all those pieces and parts together, maybe the CGI polish, the practical, the rig to get the actor in the scene, and from there, it looks like you're really crashing your actor into the woods. Combine that with the very realistic version of fire they wanted to do. They use propane to kind of get up close but not too hot. But when you see Brad Pitt going into the fire to go get their guy, that is the Damson Idris on fire with gloves that's getting taken care of. So it's just amazing the dedication that Joe Kosinski and company put to just practical filmmaking. You can easily just paint the flames on there with CGI, but they really wanted to get something authentic and get their actors right there and seen, much like they do with the cockpit and the races. So it's only 6 minutes. I'd love to watch a half hour of that thing, but it does a very nice job to present, like, hey, we're really going for it, and you never hear a debate of like, oh, we can just do it in post. No, this is the way we're going to do it. We're going to set it up. We're going to do our homework. We're going to get this right. And it's amazing that wherever the goal setting came to get that going, you see the fruition of it in these scenes, and obviously in the finished film.
Excellent. And David, that leaves you. Bring it home. Cross the finish line.
So I watched, all of the, featurettes. Most of them range anywhere from like 5 minutes to about a little over 9 minutes. The one I chose was the APX GP and F1, how it was filmed, which is primarily focusing on how the cast and crew pretty much had like 1 hour to film the climactic, the exciting red flag sequence at the end. It was, pretty fascinating how it was really a partnership of the filmmakers and actual Formula One, racers and pit crews. The teams and the cars all, obviously looked amazing, and they had to basically work in the pit lane. You saw like actors working alongside actual pit crew or actually the pit crew working kind of like hovering around them, shadowing them. It's like a job shadowing. So they could learn how intense it is and how fast it is, and yet you got to keep your cool. Everybody depends on each other to make it all work. I was kind of interested. It was kind of interesting for me to see that a lot of the fans that you see in the crowd, they were all like actual people. There's some a little bit of embellishment, but most of it is, I'm sure they advertised locally, hey, we're looking for extras to film a racing movie with Brad Pitt. So I think that was also contributing to the authentic nature you guys are talking about. So I thought that really brought it home. And so, this sequence also, there's talking heads, obviously, with a lot of these sequences. We hear a lot from Bruckheimer, Jerry Bruckheimer. And it talks a lot about how he really appreciated working with F1 and the Silverstone circuit there in the UK, and how they were very like kind of like pivotal in making everything look real and authentic. And I think like that was like looking at all these featurettes, even this one, just the authenticity they were going for. Obviously there's, you know, new cameras and everything that were made for this, but at the end of the day, it isn't just so everything looks cool and there's great special effects. It really is to provide a very new and different and immersive experience for viewers. And I'm hoping that now that this is available for home viewing, that more people check it out. And, you know, obviously it's best on a big screen, but hey, a lot of people have big screens at home.
Yeah, very true. And as far as that, the innovations with the camera, that was something I was actually thinking about looking at the innovation segment, is where can this go from here? Because they didn't just make it for this movie. They're going to be using this in other, you know, you could imagine this in the next Star Wars movie, or you know, even a rom-com. I don't know how they would use that, but there's all sorts of different possibilities. And I did get the feeling of like, it made me wonder how much innovation is going on movie sets all the time that we just don't, you know, hear about.
Right.
You know, I've kind of ragged on James Cameron for staying too long in the Avatar universe, because every time these movies come out, I don't see anything or feel like there's anything new, but there may very well be. And I think they could do well to kind of promote that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm very happy with this release. It would be nice if they had just kind of like hacked it all together into one, you know, 60-minute piece or something like that. Because even watching the innovations thing, it was over and it felt like 5 minutes. I'm like, wait, no, there's more here. I want to know about it. But
short attention spans, man. Short attention spans.
Yeah,
I know. We should be lucky it wasn't all TikTok
discs,
stuff.
you know.
Yeah. It would have been cool too if they included you know, I'm always a sucker for the commentaries.
Same.
You know, so, you know, who knows.
And I will say, on that note, there is a scene in the innovation segment where Brad Pitt, I can't remember who he was talking to, but he's talking about the camera rigged on the car, and he's describing it in great detail how everything's going to work and how the choreography of it goes. So you get the sense of how invested he was in the way this story is being told. And to your point, David, I think it would have been great to listen to him talk about this, you know, film, maybe with Kosinski. Maybe time will tell. If James Gunn can do a Superman commentary that comes out after the physical release and it just shows up on digital, maybe if we petition hard enough, we'll get the same thing.
Exactly.
But that's not in this release. What is in this release are 3 features we talked about, and there's a bevy more on the 4K. So people check it out if you feel so moved. And gentlemen, thank you very much for indulging me in this segment. I appreciate it. Maybe we'll do some more of these in the future. And I know it's whizzed by, but I feel like that's the whole point.
That's the point.
Oh yeah,
F1.
Quick hit.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Please support Don and David and all of Earth's Mightiest Critics. Their information is down below. If you like this segment, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. All that good business. And until next time, there you go. Whenever that is, whatever that is. Thank you very much, and take care.
Drive safe.
Yes. Oh, that's perfect. Hey everyone, Ian here. I know, long time no see. But if you like the video you just watched, feel free to subscribe to Kicking the Seat right here, and also check out the playlist and recommended video right here. Thanks for watching.